So hello and welcome back to the FPL Talk channel, and today we're making a brand new video. Now I know there's a lot of new people here and I appreciate that you're here, so if you are new, please drop a like on the video and subscribe down below if you haven't already. Today we're going to be looking at the best budget players that you can put into your FPL, and now there is some very cheap gems that have been put in this year. A lot of very pricey players, so you're looking down at that lower end of the spectrum in FPL for these cheap prices, so we can get the valued players in there more, like the likes of Salah, Haaland, Kane, Son, all of them. As you can see, first one I've got on my screen there is Pereira. I've already got him in, 4.5 million. He's going to Fulham to replace Carvalho, who's gone to Liverpool, and that is a great budget option. Obviously, you're not going to be able to see his fixtures on here, but I feel like having two players on the bench that play is a great way forward, because if you suffer any injuries, and we all know you can get very unlucky on FPL, then you're not wasting transfers constantly. You always have those two spare players that you can use that will come on the pitch for you, and I feel like Pereira is a great option. He's probably going to play in that attacking midfielder for Fulham, so he's even got some chances at returns. Not that Fulham are going to do class this year, but he's going to be a main part of their attacking play, and that's what you want in a cheap player. So if we're looking at keepers, we've also got Mendy for 5 million now. He's not one of the cheapest players that we're going to look at, but he's a great budget player because he's not in the premium prices that Edison and Alisson are. He's actually ranked the same as keepers like Schmeichel, Fabianski, Pope, Martinez, and he's in a very solid Chelsea team, and I don't think he belongs in that price bracket, to be honest. We saw how well Chelsea did last year, managing to still finish third, even though they suffered with a lot of injuries, not having Reece James for a bit, not having Chilwell for a long period, and they still managed to remain solid defensively. Now, they haven't signed many centre-backs yet, which is a bit concerning, but I think that'll soon come, to be honest. They're looking at Koundé. There was also a few others like Bastoni as well. They're all linked heavily there, so we'll see what happens. But either way, Chelsea are, an elite team. And for 5 million, I would back Mendy. You don't even need to rotate him out any weeks. That's why I feel like a premium keeper. I've got Edison currently. That's why I feel like a premium keeper is great, because you don't have to keep swapping and transferring him in and out. You can just have him the whole season unless he gets injured or suspended for whatever reason. But Mendy at 5 million is a great option. That is cheap. If we quickly look at his fixtures, he's already selected by 24.4%. That just shows how popular this man is with his value. He's got a great start. Look, his only first real tough fixture is against Liverpool at home. Also, he has Spurs the second week at home. But up until, game week, 8, you still got a very nice run of fixtures. And even after that, look how nice his run is. He only plays Man City in game week 19. So he is someone that you can keep him for a long period. And if you're struggling to spend money elsewhere, you can save yourself 0.5 million rather than getting one of those premium keepers and put him in there. So finally, one more budget keeper I want to speak about is Sanchez. Now, Robert Sanchez from Brighton. Brighton managed to finish in the top 10 of the Premier League in the top half last season. And for 4.5 million, I feel like he is the best budget keeper around that mark if you're looking for a 4.5 million keeper. Personally, I'll try to go for a more premium one, but if you're suffering for money, which a lot of people do in fantasy because it's so annoying when you try and fit premiums in and you're just lacking money, then 4.5 million in Robert Sanchez could be a good selection for you. Now, 14.8% have selected him, so it already shows he's got a strong selection choice. And I do favour him over the likes of Raya because I feel like Brentford may struggle this season. Obviously, he's got a tough first fixture in Man United, but after that, as you can see, he's got a nice run all the way up to game week 8 to try and get you those points. And then ahead of Liverpool and Tottenham, if you feel unsure about it, you can always transfer him out. But for 4.5 million, I feel like Sanchez is a very reliable option. Brighton have also got another good player who we're going to look at later, who they've signed, and he could be another one who you could have as a budget asset. But Robert Sanchez is a very nice keeper to have in your team if you do choose to select him. So one defender I do want to talk about is Nico Williams. Now, for only 4 million, he's agreed a deal to move to Nottingham Forest, and that means he's got guaranteed playing time pretty much. He's going to come in as a replacement for Jed Spence, I imagine. Straight swap in there because Spence is going to Spurs. But only 2.3% have selected him. I'm guessing that's going to highly increase once everyone realises he's going Forest. But this 4 million price tag means you've got a player on the bench who's literally the cheapest you can get, who's guaranteed to play games. Now, Forest could get the one-off clean sheet somewhere, and if you get an injury, he's still going to guarantee to come on. And that 4 million price tag just allows you to spend loads more money elsewhere. However, one thing I've done this year is gone massive on on defence. I've got a lot more money in the defenders, so I won't be going for Nico Williams personally. But if you want to spend heavy on attack and midfield to try and get those premiums in, as I said before, then Nico Williams for 4 million is a great budget option. Now, he did have that loan spell last season where he started performing very well, and hopefully he can carry that form into this Nottingham Forest side. But I do feel like they could possibly struggle this year in the Premier League. But as I say, you can have a player that's guaranteed to play every week, week in, week out. Obviously, that includes if he's not suspended. But this is someone I would look at having on your bench if you're looking for a budget option. This is the defender I would go for. So another team I quickly want to talk about is Leicester City. Now, there's a lot of players for Leicester City that are priced very low in their defence at 4.5 million, which makes them easily accessible for many fantasy football players. Now, James Justin has come back and he looks to be a pretty much nailed-on starter. He had that horrible injury last season, but he's recovered well, and he looks to be cemented in that left-back position. Obviously, they don't have many other options there. The only other one I can see is Castagne possibly playing there, but they more favour him on the right or in midfield. And Justin looks like a very solid option you could have for 4.5 million. 4.8 people have already selected him. If we have a look at Leicester's fixtures, he's one of those players that for that cheap you can rotate in and out in game weeks where players have an easy fixture and don't have an easy fixture. You can just put him in and out on the bench. He's a great option to have as that 4.5 million player on the bench. Now, as you can see there, Brentford in game week 1, you would obviously start him in that. Then Southampton at home. Then he has a little tough run after that. But he gets Brighton, then Villa, and then after Spurs, he gets a great run. 2 newly promoted teams in a row after that. So James Justin is someone I would look at getting if you're looking for a 4.5 million player. And you could also have Vladimir Soufal, again coming in at 4.5 million. He was suffering from a long-term injury last season, which meant his performances did drop slightly. However, he managed to have an operation on that, and he should be back to his best, just as he was in that first season for us, where he was absolutely incredible. Now, he's only selected by 3%. I think that's because we've got Man City first, and people are a bit like, whoa, I don't want that, thanks. But if you actually look after that, his fixtures are quite nice. Up until game week 4, after Man City, you can start him every game, and then obviously you can rotate him out with another defender over those game week 5 to possibly game week 7. You could play him against Newcastle, but after that, his fixtures look really, really good. And for 4.5 million, he's one of those defenders, just like the one we just talked about. You can rotate in and out. If you are struggling to afford the likes of Kieran Trippier, then Sven Botman could be for you. Now, Newcastle are clearly strengthening. Look how they finished at the end of last season. They did amazingly from January onwards. And Sven Botman is only going to improve them more. Only 4.5% have selected him, however. For 4.5 million, he makes him one of those great rotational defenders for you to have on your bench. His first fixtures against Forest and then Brighton, and then after that, look, as you can see, after Liverpool in game week 5, he's got a really nice run. And again, you can swap him in and out, and these 4.5 million defenders are really good value. These allow you to get better attacking options, such as if you want to upgrade to a premium and try get Son in your team, these 4.5 million defenders are really going to help you do that. Finally, if you're going to go for a cheap budget Wolves defender, I would go for Aït-Nouri. Obviously, Semedo is out at the start of the season, and Aït-Nouri is pretty much nailed on to start. 4.1% have selected, and again, he's only 4.5 million. This is because Wolves, out of all the teams, have a really nice start, and that's why a lot of people have opted to go for Pedro Neto at the start of the season for 5.5 million. Again, another really nice budget player. He's got Leeds, Fulham, Newcastle, Bournemouth and Southampton, excluding Spurs there, and that's a really great start. Again, you can rotate him out for that game week 3, and he is one you should watch out for. So we just mentioned him, and he's already in my team. It's Pedro Neto now. 22.2% have already selected him, and that just shows how popular he actually is, considering he only got 22 points in FPL last season, which is pretty much nothing. Coming in at 5.5 million, that's what makes him such a bargain. Because of his fixtures, people really want to get an attacking Wolves asset in there, and people aren't really going for Jimenez, because I always used to get Raul Jimenez, and he was just so unreliable. You could never know when he was going to score and whether he was not going to score, and he would literally pop up with 1 goal and then blank for 3 and then score maybe again. But by then, it's too late, and for that price he is, I wouldn't put him in. Whereas Pedro Neto, for literally 5.5 million, you're taking no risk by putting him in. He's that budget, and if he does flop, then, you know, it's not the worst case in the world. You can always swap him out for someone around that price, and it's not like it's going to cost you a lot. And again, just like Aït-Nouri, people are getting him in because of those fixtures that he does have there, and you can also rotate him nicely with a West Ham player. So if you do have the likes of Jared Bowen in your team, or maybe you wanted a more budget player in Pablo Fornals, you can alternate them in and out, as most of these players can have that done to them. But let's get on to the next player. So there's only two more midfielders I want to speak about. And first of all, we have to talk about Bruno Guimaraes, just because of how good he was at the end of last season. He really helped Newcastle stay up in that relegation fight and go on to finish high up the league. He was so influential in their attacking play. I always say it every video, but that chip versus Norwich, I'll never forget. It was so saucy. And what a goal that was. And as you can see, 21.2% have already selected him, coming in at 6 million. That is very cheap compared to other midfielders. If you looked at the ones ranked around him, he's pretty much the best option you could possibly put in. And as I said about Botman, Newcastle are only going to strengthen, so he's one you should definitely look out for. So the final midfield player we're going to talk about is Marcus Rashford. Now, 6.5 million is an absolute bargain, but it's just whether you choose to trust him, just because we don't know how Ten Hag is going to play, and we also don't know if he trusts Rashford enough after the past few seasons. 9.9% have already taken the risk by selecting him, and if he does start in that United system, then I think he's a pretty much no-brainer. After a few game weeks, a lot of people will transfer him in if he's going to start every game for Manchester United. It's 6.5 million in their attack. You can't say no. There's also Jadon Sancho, who's quite cheap, is 7.5 million, who I say is more reliable because he's more nailed on to start than Rashford. And if you have a bit more money free, I would go for Sancho. But if you're willing to hit the risk of Rashford, I would definitely go for Rashford. Also, Man United's fixtures at the start of the season are quite nice. Other than Liverpool, you would back him in most of those games up until game week 8 pretty much. And he is one that if you're struggling to find someone around that 6.5, 7 million mark, you could take a chance on. So this year there isn't many great budget strikers. However, Mitrovic is one I would definitely watch. And people might say he'll flop because he's done it previously, getting promoted for Fulham. But he's in the form of his life. If you saw how many goals he scored in the Championship last season, he literally set the record for the most goals ever in the Championship. And 12% of people have already gone for him because he is 6.5 million and he doesn't cost a lot at all. And I really think Fulham have gone about their business better this season. They've already signed Palhinha in CDM, a Portuguese international. A lot of top clubs in Europe wanted him, but he's now moved to the Premier League for quite a big figure, and he's a very solid CDM. Now, if Fulham can continue to strengthen with a striker like Mitrovic up front, they might do better than what people actually think, and he could bag a lot of goals. So one man I want to quickly mention is Brozier. Now, Brozier was absolutely quality for Southampton last season. I remember when he played West Ham and I watched, and he just absolutely battered us single-handedly. He's strong, he's quick, and he actually is linked with West Ham. So if this man does get a move to the Premier League, right, 5.5 million for Brozier would be an absolute incredible deal, especially in a team like West Ham or Everton or wherever he may go that could be in the Premier League. I would definitely watch out. If Brozier transfers, he's one you should certainly bring in. And another player that people have been raving about is Dennis Undav. Now, for 5.5 million, 5.9% have already selected him. And in the Belgium League last season, he got ridiculous numbers. He scored loads of goals. And Brighton fans are quite buzzing about having him, I'm pretty sure. But the issue is they do play a 3-4-3 formation, but the 3-4-3 tends to be with two cams, so it's more like a 3-4-2-1. They have the one striker and the two cams behind it. It was like Pascal Gross and McAllister last season. And it's whether he's going to start in that number 9 position, as they do have Mopé, who they have trusted a lot, and also Danny Welbeck. So there's a big rotational risk there. And he is 5.5 million, so it's not like a budget player that gives you money to spend elsewhere. He is a little bit pricey as a striker for a budget option. So it's whether you want to trust him. But if you do, it could very well pay off for you. And another man people have mentioned, this is the final player we're going to talk about today, is Brennan Johnson. Now, 5.7% have selected him, only 6 million, and he's one of their most creative players, Forest. And again, I would stay away from Forest. However, this is one man you could go for. They've got a lot of transfers coming in. They've already got Dean Henderson on loan. They're about to sign the left back from Bayern Munich, Omar Johnson. And as well as that, they've just got, obviously, Nico Williams, who we've already spoke about. So if they can continue strengthening, he could be a good one. And I feel like he's going to be the most creative player. For 6 million, he's quite a budget option. But if you can push that 6.5 and get Mitrovic, I would certainly do that. So there's some of the best budget players in FPL. Now get in the comments, which one of these are you going to go for, if any, right? So get down in those comments. Leave a like on the video if you're new. And also, please do subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.